Okay, now we get to the actual content stage. This is where the email itself is housed. The first option we have is the content type. That's we have an option of HTML only, plain text only, or both HTML and plain text. Now, it's perfectly fine to send an email using HTML only, but I always recommend using both HTML and plain text. The reason for this is some email clients like Gmail require that you have a plain text version alongside your HTML version, and that little bit of extra effort goes a long way in reducing some of your spam score that you might get based on the content or anything. I'm actually going to leave it as HTML only, just to show you in the next stage when we get our review stage what the spam filter will show us in terms of potential spam score. So the next option we have here is the subject line, very important and it is required. So we'll just put in whatever we have here for our subject line, something relevant to the email. I'll just say your account is currently waiting for you. And then you'll notice that when I clicked on this, it brought up a little drop-down menu over here saying add personalized content. So because I created the first name as a custom field, I can then click on this drop-down menu. It's got a whole bunch of links that I can add, but specifically it's got this custom field first name, the global. This is the custom field that I created earlier. If I click on that, it'll add this little short code, and every time our system sees this short code, it'll look for a value in that subscriber's custom field. Right now, that value for my particular email address is my name, so it'll say, your account is currently waiting for you, Michael. So that's a little bit of personalization that makes it so that when I receive this email, I might be much more inclined to actually open the email. Okay, the next option, it's a very basic WYSIWYG editor because we chose from scratch. In your case, what you would do is grab your HTML code, click on this little HTML edit HTML source button, and then highlight all of this and paste right over it. Just get rid of all the old HTML. Okay, so I'm just going to click update, and then it's going to populate all that content in here. And then I can go ahead and select individual pieces and use the WYSIWYG tools to modify them if I need to. But usually if you're coding the HTML externally, you would go ahead and put this content inside the, you put all your links and everything inside the content beforehand. So once I'm happy with the content and how it's displaying, I will have the option to go ahead and add attachments. Just choose file and find a file on your computer to add as an attachment. You'll want to keep the attachments to a small file size, obviously to keep the email size low. Having a large file size will create an overall file size when sending to large amounts of subscribers, which can work against you in terms of spam. So I'll just click next to go to the review stage, and we can have a look at how the email is being displayed and obviously what spam score we're getting. So the first thing we can do here is then preview the email, have a look how it's displaying and if there's any issues with it in our email clients that we use. So if I choose preview on browser, I can choose to just click this preview campaign, which will open up a new tab, and I can have a look at the email and just see, is everything displaying correctly? Yes, it seems to be doing fine. That is the most forgiving thing you'll ever see with your email. Basically, it's using your internet browser, which is very forgiving on HTML code. The next stage is to preview it to our own email client. So if I send the email to myself by putting in my own email address here, and then choosing send preview email, in a few seconds it will then send the preview email to myself, and once I receive it in my inbox, I'll be able to see if it's displaying correctly inside my email. So that's the next stage. Now comes the final stage, just to see if everything is truly 100% across the board, to make sure that no person is going to receive it in a funny way and then start emailing me and telling me what's wrong with your thing. So the first thing I've got is the email content analysis. That's basically just going to show me how many images, CSS, and basically how my HTML is broken down. And then the next thing is the spam filter test. This is just going to give me an idea of whether my email has a good chance of getting through spam filters or whether or not it might actually just be blocked outright to start. So right now, the total score I've got here is a 6.3, and that is guaranteed to go straight to spam. Anything over 5 will go straight to spam. Anything between 3 and 4 is risky, and anything under 3 is perfectly deliverable. So I could immediately get rid of a lot of this score just by adding, as you can see here, a plain text version. So this 2.2 over here is telling me the message only has text or HTML MIME parts. That basically means it's only got an HTML version, no text version, and that's working against me with the highest score out of the three. The next couple of settings here, HTML has a low ratio of text to image area. Basically means there's too many images or the images are too big. I need to balance it out with text or vice versa. So I basically just play around with the size of the images or the amount of text that I'm including, and that should actually vanish as well. And then I'll only have a 2.0 score in this X priority header, and that is perfectly deliverable and won't work against me in most email clients. Once I'm happy with the spam score and I've changed that, I can just go ahead and click Create New Design Test. Now this might take a little while, but what it's doing is it's essentially sending out this email to all the major email clients and then taking a screenshot, bringing it back to us and displaying it. So you'll notice that it takes a little while, but the page will then refresh. And once it's refreshed and I come back down here, it'll have populated with a grid of all the major email clients. And once it's received those screenshots, I'll then be able to have a look at how our email is displaying across the board. So I can have a look at how it's viewing on AOL, Gmail Basic, Apple Mail. It's got some iPhones to show responsive. It's got Apple Android. I mean, it's got Android. So got looking fine there. It's got all the versions of Outlook, which are very important. You might find that most of your issues come from Outlook and the way that it displays HTML. We can see if it's being responsive in the iPhone and iPad section. Okay, it takes a little while for them to actually send the screenshots back, but that's just because it's actually sending a real-time message as opposed to using an algorithm. So I can click on, for instance, iPhone 3 here and just see, okay, it seems to be breaking it down into correct responsive measures instead of just the full multi-column version. Once I've gone through all of this and decided everything at a glance seems to be working perfectly fine, I'm happy with that, I can just click next. And then we come to the last stage.